We saw a record $986 billion in stock change hands on Friday. This is the largest dollar value ever traded on U.S. equity markets. That's according to Goldman Sachs. Think about that. Largest ever. There was also massive volatility around ETFs.
I always find it so fascinating how every single week CNBC loves saying historical records, Guinness World Record breaking volatility in the ETF, all this different stuff, right? I'm kind of over exaggerating it. But I think you have to understand as markets go up over time and companies make like record earnings over time and more people get involved in the markets, every time something happens, it's always a record to some degree. So leave it to CNBC to overhype everything. But we got a lot of news to go over today, guys, starting with that volatility index reaching 5-year highs, which would seem like a record according to CNBC, but it's just not, guys. Taking a look at the long-term historical record here of the VIX, which represents kind of the entire markets as a whole and what people are trading here. Back in 2008, things were like absolutely absurd. I mean, we're not hitting anything really extreme here. It's just the basic traders that are going on and a little bit of the fear in the market driving this volatility. And another really fascinating thing going on out there today, guys, we saw Robinhood crash, which is kind of terrifying if you're utilizing that platform. I mean, last week, we saw the Toronto Stock Exchange crash, but I mean, that was just the exchange. That had nothing to do with individual platforms or trading accounts, because I mean, I'd be petrified if I couldn't log in to my Scotia iTrade account during like market hours. I get that sometimes things get a little overwhelming for these companies, but it'd be super fun to talk to the technicians that have to manage this and ask them, like, are things actually set up in a way to handle extreme market volatility and trading? Because according to the Robinhood here, it's not, it's something scary to consider if you're buying these I don't want to say they're like third-party platforms, but essentially they're not like mainstream, top-tier, protected by like Treasury, like the banks are kind of trading platforms. And according to Robinhood, they tweeted out that our system is experiencing downtime issues that are affecting all functionalities on our platform. We are aware of the issue and are working to have all the systems up and running as soon as we can. We're so sorry this is happening. So, I mean, I wish they would clarify exactly what the issues are. Same with the Toronto Stock Exchange, because they always just say technical issues. They never actually release what the underlying problems are and if they could be a problem in the future. And I think they do that to protect themselves, because I mean, if Robinhood had to shut down their entire platform and you couldn't even have access to your basic accounts and taking a look at what you're holding, I mean, I would be fairly concerned. I mean, it's something to consider when you're logging into, say, M1 Finance or Robinhood. Could they actually handle, say, the volatility of something like an '08 happening again? Those are extreme circumstances. And I really hate everyone comparing markets to like 2008. Nothing is like that. History rhymes. It does not repeat, guys. So don't let things get to your head. We're trading in a much different period of time than we were a decade ago. Things are worth way more than they've ever been. So we're sitting in a pretty fascinating period here. Taking a look at the S&P, though, guys, we're sitting up 3.93%. So anybody that's sold out at that bottom is probably feeling some pain today watching the markets recover. And what I would like to do, because I think it would be fun, we're going to listen to some of my favorite YouTubers talk about stock market investing. I'm going to give you some opinions on it, and then we're going to take a look at some of the individual stocks and see what is going on across the broader sectors. So, ladies, gentlemen, let's jump right into this.
Drop it.
Stock market, man, it's taking a big one. Dan, you got out at a good time.
Yeah, me and a lot of other people, apparently, because that's part of why it's crashing is everybody's panicking. But
oh wow, bounced back up today. It's only down 0.8% today.
Oh, it's not too bad.
It's bouncing around a lot. Like it was down.
Yeah, it's just very volatile. Yeah, no, I mean, I was seeing a lot of news over the weekend, so I went ahead and I pulled out completely, and just in the nick of time.
Congratulations. I don't have any money in the stock market, but I mean, God, it seems like such a gamble to put your money in there, and you're just like so emotional from day to day, ups and downs. You know, it's like, oh.
I mean, I think the key is to not look at it daily, right?
Yeah, I'm more of a long-term person, although, you know, in circumstances like this where I could see the writing on the wall that, you know, something big was probably coming. You know, I wasn't about to just ride this out, but yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it, and when things settle down, if they settle down, I'll
strike
get back in. Yeah, exactly.
Dan's a day trader, man. He's a slick trader.
Yeah, it's exaggeration. I'm quite a day trader. Because again, I'm not on a daily basis buying and selling. So.
You made a killing on Beyond Meat, right?
I did pretty good with Beyond Meat. Yeah.
Damn. The vegetarian with the Beyond Meat.
Yeah, honestly.
Nice job, dude. So that's that. Zach and Ian, do you guys trade at all? Or is this a
little bit.
Oh, yeah?
I have some penny stocks I own, and I have some Amgen, Apple, stuff like that.
Do you check it? Like, do you mess with it, or do you just sit on it?
I just let it ride.
Yeah, let it ride, baby.
I don't really touch any of that stuff. No.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm pretty smooth brain.
Smooth brain? Oh, is that like a...
Yeah. I'm operating at sea level.
Welcome back, my passive income investors alike. So I thought this was super, super fascinating. I'm a big fan of H3 podcasts. I was watching them like when I was much, much younger. We're going like years back. I think their channel's been around longer than a decade. I absolutely love my variety of YouTubers, and I just thought it was so fascinating that they touched base on the stock market. And if I could just leave one little tidbit of information, when you're listening to people talk about this, do not trade your stocks on ifs, ands, or buts. It's not a good way of dealing with your stock portfolio. And this is something that I'm finding really popular across the broader markets right now, is people hear this news, they don't know the full impact of it, they don't know where it goes. And if you have to ask yourself, well, I don't know what tomorrow brings, don't make investment decisions based off that, because I mean, he could have pulled out after the market took a mild dip. Maybe he got out at a good time, but now he's watching the markets rebound. And heck, we could see a full rebound in these companies until you never know. I honestly think things are going to pull back a little more. I think this might just be a midterm bounce until more negativity comes out, because here in Canada, we're getting more negative news. It's getting real close to home with this virus. There's people that actually live really remotely close to where we are that have this infection, and it primarily had to do with them traveling. They didn't actually get it in the country. So, I mean, that's somewhat good news, but don't make investment decisions off that kind of information, guys. I like making investment decisions off what I know, and everything that I hold, I know. I understand it. I love it. And taking a look at the overall markets today, guys, in basically my stock twits watch list here. We'll start with my top companies, because usually I keep all my companies at the top. Starting with my growth here, we got Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, and Tesla rebounding quite a little bit today. And if I can tell you, my stock portfolio is still up on the year overall, which is pretty nice. I just did all the calculations today and taking a look. My portfolio currently sits at about $139,252 when I last calculated it. And starting at the beginning of the year, we were sitting at 130,000. I mean, we were over 150, and we did have a healthy pullback, might I say. But overall, we're still up, I think, more than 10% on the year. My dividends are up. I started the year at 5,342, and we are sitting at 5,594 annual dividend income. So, I mean, everything in my portfolio is still on the up and up. And when I look at that and I listen to people out in the world, I think they're crazy. I think people are absolutely absurd for making decisions off headlines, considering my portfolio is not doing that bad. So let's continue on here. Taking a look at some of the stocks that I love, like J&J, BTI, MO is rebounding, whereas these stocks never correlate. My sin stocks like BTI and MO, I find when BTI does great, MO doesn't do good. When MO does good, BTI is not doing great. But either way, I love these stocks to my core value positions here. So, I mean, they're all rebounding. J&J is back over 140, a little depressing. If you could pick that up below the 140s, congratulations to you. I got a pretty big chunk of my capital sitting here, about 8,000 US. Not going to be adding any more, but taking a look, we got Northland Power back on the rebound, up 5% today. Like I said, no matter how bad the world gets, we still got to keep the lights on. We still got to eat. We still got to do a lot of things. So, I mean, buy stocks based off what you know, guys. Taking a look, GEO rebounding wonderfully today. I made a video on this last week talking about how I have no control over my investments because I always seem to pick them at the worst time. And every single time I buy GEO Group, it just drops. It's my worst position in my entire portfolio, but not in my eyes. If you take a look at a glance of it, I'm down something like 20 to 30%, about 2,000 USDs. But in my eyes, I think I made a great investment decision. I love the company, and I'm going to hold it long term. But man, it is volatile. What can I say? But taking a look, we got RioCan, my REITs coming back. We got Wells Fargo jumping up to almost 3% today. Going over the bank sectors that I hold, we're looking at Canadian Imperial Bank, Bank of Nova Scotia. If you guys get the opportunity, I also posted a video yesterday talking about how great these banks are right now. The yields are all up over 5% on BNS and CM. If you can just dip your toes in a little bit here, get some exposure to these incredible banks. banks. I don't expect to see any large capital upside on these in the near term, but as primarily a guy that wants to retire off his dividends in the long term, I mean, picking up banks that are paying out a 5% yield. I was just at the Bank of Nova Scotia. It's my primary bank. I was depositing some cash that I got paid over the weekend. And I mean, I love the banks, guys. Banks are banks are banks. You got to have them in your portfolio. I think it'd be unwise to not recommend them. But remember, I am not a financial advisor here. These are opinions that I usually apply to myself in hopes that you can learn something from what I do. But do not take anything I say seriously. It's technically entertainment according to YouTube, so I don't get fined or taken down by any crazy people out there or somebody loses a lot of money and tries to sue me. But taking a look here, we got Realty Income. Let's just take a quick scroll through because these are stocks that I don't own but I watch. 3M rebounding a little bit here as well. 3M took a bit of a kicking as of late. It started to rebound. I think it hit the 170s or something and then just tanked to the 140s. A lot of you guys love 3M. I'm not the biggest fan of it personally. It's just not one that fits my morale. But continue to scroll through here. Let's just see what's doing the worst. We got Wynn Resorts isn't doing too good. We got Fun. Cedar Fair is down quite a healthy chunk today. I know what PPC is a big fan of the Cedar Fair. Procter & Gamble back up today. And the MJ sector getting kicked in the bag again, guys. My goodness. A lot of people are holding bags of sand, if I'm saying that correctly, on these MJ sector stocks. Taking a look at ACB, Afria, Canopy here. Just, Canopy is now below my average sellout price. As many of you know, I made an incredibly large amount of capital on Canopy Growth Corp, and I was selling it out in the low 20s and then in the 30s, and now it's finally below my average sell, which I think was around $25 or $26. I do not plan on touching that with a 10-foot pole. I just like watching it. But you guys know the MJ sector. If you hold those stocks, I would be very cautious. Make sure it's a small allocation. There's no competitive moat with those companies. Everybody and their grandmother can throw this stuff in their backyard and grow it, guys, and the government's not doing a good job of it. So, I mean, just my personal opinion here. Constellation Brands. If you guys ever get bored and you want to see some absolute hilarity, scroll on over into StockTwits and open up the Constellation Brand page and just read some of this stuff. There's usually some pretty hilarious memes people have been posting that I just can't get over. I don't think there is any time and period right now you can scroll onto this forum on STZ and see something that isn't quite funny. And I mean, you guys could figure that out. That's why they changed the name to COVID whatever. I don't want to say too much because I keep finding I get flagged if I say too much here. I mean, look at the memes. I could probably keep scrolling through. Let's see what else is in here. You know, there's always something going on in here. This is one of my favorite ones right here that I saw as of recent. But I don't know. It's just funny, guys. It's just funny. So what else we got going on? We got backs back up. The indexes are back up. So anybody that's sold out of those bottoms is starting to feel the pain unless the markets do continue to turn around. Taking a look at some of these other top tier companies, Google, Amazon, Shopify. Hopefully in the short term, you were one of those lucky few that maybe picked up a few shares of these incredible companies. If you missed it, you missed it, guys. I didn't buy anything. But like I said, I'm hoping that this market volatility continues because I am not done my financial independence retire early journey. I mean, we got 5 or 10 years going here, so consider slapping a like and subscribing for my juicy updates, which was a really weird way to describe my portfolio. But taking a look, guys, it's the rest of what's on my watch list here. Not much else going on. Everything else kind of remains flat. But I would love to know, obviously, what you guys think about the continued volatility in the market. What do you think about Robinhood crashing in the TSX? Does it make you a little bit uneasy if you are a big Robinhood fan and that's where you have most of your portfolio? I'd love to hear from you so you can keep the community involved. But stay cool, stay awesome, guys, and I look forward to chatting to you tomorrow.